Thank you. Remember the old saying, children should be seen and not heard? When I was a boy, this was practically ironclad doctrine. The child who tried to think for himself and pass his opinion on to his elders was frequently considered a spoiled child, and his parents were usually treated to a lecture on the proper way of bringing up kids. Boy, how times have changed. Young people everywhere really seem to be running the show, and the papers are full of the opinions of young people, students who still have a couple of years between them and their diploma. Well, I must say the change is for the better. Youngsters aren't chained down by the prejudices and myths that stifle the quest for truth. And I must confess I find a lot that young people have to say well worth listening to. I think the wisest adults have always realized that youthfulness cannot fairly be equated with stupidity or immaturity. Nowadays you hear a lot of talk from young people about doing your thing. I can't think of any better admonition that I've ever heard, and after this pause, I'll tell you why. Kids today speak of doing your own thing. To my mind, this is sound advice. Now, I hope I'm reading them right. I think I am. I hope I am anyway. What does it mean to do your own thing? I reckon it means to follow your best judgment, and never mind what the crowd tells you ought to think, or what you ought to do with your life. This generation of youngsters is, if anything, hypersensitive to their destiny, and they want their share in controlling that destiny. I say more power to them. The idea of doing your own thing pays homage to man's most precious possession, his conscience. I can't conceive of anything more noble, more worthwhile than gearing one's life to the dictates of one's conscience. Conscience is a fine thing, but it needs feeding, and the food of conscience is intelligence and experience. A conscience without intelligence is not a very useful conscience. The collective conscience of a mob of dumbbells doesn't help anybody. It sees the world in terms of black and white. It doesn't have the acumen to realize that what's most required in this confusing age is to analyze seriously, patiently, the issues and problems, to sort out all the colors and shades and tones, and only then decide how the picture should be painted. Now, if this is what is meant by doing one's own thing, I'm all for it. And I'm confident that the bright youngsters we've given birth to take it to mean just this. My hat's off to them.